Okay. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say how I welcome this initiative of the topical issues. I mean, I think of all the Dáil reforms that are taking place, I think this is the most significant one in terms of reshifting the balance in favour of the ordinary TD. You know, it puts us right there at centre stage and, you know, in the middle of the day, able to raise issues, you know, that are topical and of concern to our constituents. So I think that's extremely important. Just in relation to this particular issue, I'm asking the Minister if she will consider changing the qualification period for Jobbridge places from 3 months signing on the live register to a shorter period of time. And the reason I'm asking this is to ensure that people that are unemployed and are anxious to apply for the current vacancies on Jobbridge are enabled to do so. And I'm raising this because the concerns have been raised about this issue with me. You know, one person raised it who wasn't in a position to apply right now for a Jobbridge vacancy, even though they would like to, because they weren't unemployed for a long enough length of time, and also they're not in receipt of benefits. And you know, the criteria is that you have to be in receipt of a live claim on the live register, or else you have to be and you either have to be in a payment or you have to be basically just signing on for credits for 3 months. And the person concerned, number one, they weren't unemployed for 3 months, and number two, they weren't signing on for credits because they didn't even know that they could sign on for credits. They don't know what that means, and also they didn't see the point because they wouldn't get any payment. So there was no incentive for them to sign on for credits, and that particular person would be very representative, in my view, of people who, you know, there's lots of people out there who probably wouldn't qualify for a job seekers payment benefit or allowance, either because they wouldn't meet the means test requirements or they didn't have enough credits to get unemployment benefit. And you know, most of those people don't sign on for credits. They should, or they might intermittently and give up on it because they just don't see the point. I mean, it's costly. It involves a cost for people that are getting no payment at all. Some of them who have no income whatsoever. You know, it would cost them to get the bus to go and sign on where they have to sign on or whatever. So they haven't signed on, and you know, very often before there wasn't that ability, if you did sign on, to get onto schemes like Jobbridge. So as I said, there was no incentive for the people concerned to sign on, and those people are now in a situation where the scheme has been set up, they haven't been signing on for the required period of time, and you know, they're not therefore eligible, and there might be a vacancy on the site right this minute or this day or any particular day they might look up, and they can't apply for that particular vacancy. So the other people that this might affect will be students. When a student has finished their course, they then, you know, they could start signing on the live register even if they weren't entitled to a payment. But again, if you know, they would have to sign on for 3 months. Like, why should they need to have to sign on for 3 months to get one of these vacancies? It's ideally, these vacancies, many of them are ideal for graduates, you know, people who've just finished their training or education, and yet they'd have to wait. They'd have to have a waiting period of 3 months signing on, and very often, you know, with no payment to be made to them in that regard from social welfare. So I just don't see the reasoning why there has to be this time delay. I think we should be doing everything we can to facilitate people who want to apply for Jobbridge vacancies to do so. And you know, like I remember when there was social employment schemes in place. Now, I'm not sure what the situation is regarding community employment schemes, but I know when there was, with the old social employment schemes, as far as I recall, you could be just signing on for 1 week if it was unemployment assistance you applied for, and you could go onto a community social employment scheme. So, like, there was flexibility then, and I just feel very strongly that there's no logic to this. I don't think there's a need for there to be a 3-month waiting period. There could be a week or a month, but if the Minister could respond.
Thank you. 4 minutes, Minister.
Thank you, Ceann Comhairle, and I want to thank Deputy Tuffy for raising this issue, and indeed for the her recognition of the positive elements of the National Internship Scheme and the Jobbridge initiative. It's just about 10 weeks old at this time since it went live, so I just want to emphasise that we're all learning from this scheme, and it's interesting to see how much positive interest it has generated from people who are employers and also, as Deputy Tuffy has said, from people who feel that many of the positions that have been advertised are of interest to them. And basically, it's, you know, interning has been something that's been very popular in countries like the States and in Germany and Japan, and indeed in the United Kingdom. I think all the leaders of the current British government started off as interns in politics, but I think they might have acquired their internships on the basis of who they knew. So interning is new in terms of this national scheme. When we announced the Jobs Initiative, this was part of the process of beginning to restore confidence in Ireland's economy, but also to restore hope and confidence in the huge numbers of people who currently find themselves out of employment. And Jobbridge, the National Internship Scheme, is a key element of this Jobs Initiative, but the numbers on it are relatively modest. The capacity is 5,000. Jobbridge is also the first initiative operated under the new work and welfare organisation, the National Employment and Entitlement Service, which was a commitment contained in the programme for government. The aim of Jobbridge is to assist individuals bridge the gap between unemployment and the world of work. Jobbridge provides those seeking employment with the opportunity to undertake a 6 or a 9-month internship in a host organisation. Participants will benefit from learning new skills to complement their existing skills. Upon completing their internship, participants will have improved their prospects of securing employment. In the current labour market environment, Jobbridge provides individuals with a unique opportunity to secure work experience in a new field. Or indeed for the first time if they're just recent graduates or postgraduates. The scheme enables people to break the cycle whereby unemployed people are unable to get a job without experience, either as new entrants to the labour market after education or training, or as unemployed workers whose existing skills will not be appropriate to the type of jobs that will emerge in post-recession Ireland. Since Jobbridge was launched in July, there have been, significant milestones. At present, there are in excess of 2,000 internship opportunities currently being advertised on the Jobbridge website. In addition, as of last Friday, 1,100 plus interns had begun internships, actually begun them, of whom 500 plus are totally new to interning, and the others are people who've transferred from the old work placement programme to take advantage of the €50 extra week that somebody on the programme receives. However, the conditionality when we negotiated this, in particular with the IMF, and I think this gets to the point of Deputy Tuffy's concerns, is that it is to assist people who have been unemployed. And in fact, many people would have wanted this open to people who have been more than a year unemployed. We took the unemployment period requirement down to 3 months at my insistence in order to make it available rapidly to the kind of people that Deputy Tuffy is talking about. And also to show, in terms again of the IMF EU Troika programme, that labour market activation, as it's called, getting people back into work, into education, into training, into experience, is a feature of our social welfare system. That's the critical reform that organisations like the IMF and the OECD look to in Ireland.
Thank you,
As such, it's imperative that it comes, that people are taken off the live register.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Tuffy, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, well, just to respond to the Minister. Well, obviously, I would ask the Minister that she'd reconsider the situation, or at least keep it under review. And I think that the IMF and the people who require a longer period of time are mistaken. I mean, the point that you want the idea is to keep people close to the labour market and prevent drift into long-term unemployment. Well, if you make a period of time, you are working against that objective. I'd submit in relation to that. And for example, if someone was unemployed now for 2 months and they hadn't been signing on, and now that the scheme is open and they sign on, they'll have to wait another 3 months, so they will have been unemployed for 5 months, and there may be a vacancy right now that's suitable for them. So my understanding is if you have to sign on, you have to actually physically sign on for 3 months. So someone who didn't sign on because they weren't entitled to payment would have to sign on for another 3 months, even if they'd been unemployed for 2 months or more, previously. And just in relation to, I just think, for example, the springboard qualifying period has been relaxed from 6 months to 0 to 0, and I just don't see why you can't relax these things. I think if we want to facilitate people and stop them drifting into long-term unemployment, we need to be as flexible as possible.
Thank you, Deputy.
Can I just reply briefly?
Yes, sure. 2 minutes.
We're constantly reviewing every element of the scheme, because this is the first time there's been such a scheme. And I appreciate what you're saying. However, there is a requirement to show that a scheme like this is taking people from the live register. However, we are establishing, as I said, the scheme is only up for 10 weeks in terms of being advertised. We have 1,100 people who've started. Now, in a couple of months' time, we will be in a position to start evaluating, because a critical thing is that we keep evaluating this scheme. We learn from the comments, the experience of both the people who are offering to host places and from the people who take up internships, and also those people who feel like you're suggesting that it's a pity they're blocked away from it. So I can say to the Deputy that we're keeping it under constant review, and there's been a series of different suggestions made to improve access to the scheme, and I'm keeping them all under review, and I would say to the Deputy that I will certainly keep this under review. If you have active examples as well of people whom you feel maybe are appropriate without breaching the confidentiality, you might maybe if you can give us some details of the kind of people that you're talking about, because at the end of the day, the response from potential host organisations and employers has been extremely positive. We have teething problems, and we have to ensure quality. That's the key thing. But equally, the feedback from interns who are really only starting so far has been positive. But as the months move on, we will be able to have a much stronger level of evaluation on a continuous basis into the scheme. But I'll certainly keep what you're suggesting absolutely under review, Deputy.
Thank you, Minister.